Imagine you could come up with unlimited ideas for your freelance business. Imagine you never had writer's block and you could take one idea and turn it into as many as you wanted to. Imagine you could combine one idea with another idea to form something magnificent. What would that do for your business and for your personal life? In this video, I'm going to share with you exactly how to do that, and I'm going to give you 15 different ways where you can take one concept and generate as many ideas as you want out of it. The best part is that you can then combine any of these generated ideas from these 15 concepts to create new, better, and more improved ideas over and over again. Think about that. What would this do for your life, for your profession, for your clients, if you always knew what to speak about, what to write about, and what to produce content about? This is exactly what you'll be able to do by the end of this video. So let's get right into it. So before starting this video, I want to mention where all of these ideas come from, and it is from this product called Idea Power by David Deusch, and it's a great product. If you like what I'm about to mention in this video, I highly suggest that you go to ideapower.net, get the full product, because it will give you a lot of ideas how to implement them in your business based on the examples that David gives in his product. So if we move to this, in this video, I'm going to share how to come up with new ideas as a freelance writer. And I'm going to give you specific ways, specific language that you can use, and it will make it easy for you to understand the concept and implement it in your business. So this is the first idea. And in his product, David calls these boxes. So there are 15 boxes, and the first one is called Add a New Dimension. So what you do is you engage your readers through this box. So you engage your readers more deeply by providing a richer, multifaceted experience. This can be anything from adding feelings, adding smell, adding sound, adding anything that would add another dimension to whatever you are creating. So if you have a blog post about healthy eating, you could include an interactive quiz to help readers determine their nutritional needs. It's much more interesting than someone having to read a blog post, and it adds that interactivity to the whole thing. One way to look at it when it comes to a language is that you could say, click here to discover your ideal diet plan through our interactive quiz. So it's a simple, easy transition into the interactive element that adds a new dimension to the whole thing. Number 2. Do the opposite. Or box number 2, do the opposite. So the idea here is to provoke thought, generate interest, debate, setting your content apart. And it's interesting because it's the opposite of what everyone expects. So write a text sales letter for a productivity app that starts with benefits of doing less instead of doing more. So everyone is like, you'll be able to do more, you'll be able to do more, you'll be able to do more. What you're saying is that with this tool, with this product, you'll be able to do less, which means you'll be more productive. So you're doing the opposite of what everyone expects you to do. So you could say why working less could actually improve your productivity, and in and of itself, this is something that's representation, because people have been, especially if they're in the culture of let's grind more, let's do more, having something that's the opposite will get them to stand up and pay attention. Box 3 is divide something up, so you make something more digestible. You take complex information and you make it more manageable to keep the reader returning for more. This is essentially the idea. Let's say you have an email series. What you do is you break it down into the different steps that it takes to start, for example, a small business. And each email will focus on different phases. And it can be used in anything that you are creating in terms of content. If you're creating a how-to series, a step-by-step, a listicle, can be broken up and divided into something more manageable. So instead of saying, this is how to start a small business, you can say, this is part 1 of 5, where you lay the foundations for your small business. And then at the end of each part, you build anticipation for the next part that is coming up. The next box is take something out. So instead of dividing something, you see what you can remove to make something still make sense. So the idea is to clarify and sharpen your message, making it more impactful. So instead of let's say I have a video sales letter, instead of focusing on how the product will give the reader all the benefits, you only focus on the fact that it will save them time. So you're not speaking about the amount of money it will make them. You're not speaking about the amount of time they'll be able to have with their friends, their family. You're just focusing solely on how the product saves them time. That is, taking everything out and focusing on the one thing. What you could do is also take one component out and either use it in a different context or just not focus on it at all. So you could say, gain back hours every day with our solution, focusing solely on what truly matters, saving time. So you're taking that out and focusing on it. Or you're taking it out and not focusing on it like everyone does. The next point is to bring things or something together. So the idea is to create unique content that engages your reader by merging different ideas. So you're bringing two things together. So what if you could combine the ideas that you get from sports psychology and business leadership, and you write a blog post that incorporates, that fuses the two together? So let's say you can say, discover what entrepreneurs can learn from ancient warrior strategies. And this is a very interesting concept because you're bringing entrepreneurs, ancient warriors, and bringing them together in your blog post. It's not something that many people have thought about before, so it's also unique. But one thing inside another. So you might have seen the Russian dolls, which are basically starts from this small size, then there's the bigger one, the bigger one, the bigger, the biggest, and they all fit together. And in a way, this is the same idea. So you're putting depth and relatability to your content, you're putting everything inside one another. And an easy way to do it as a freelance writer is to embed a short personal story within a sales letter for a self-improvement course. So you're saying, this is how I did it, this is the results I found, and this is how it can help you in your own self-discovery, self-improvement journey. So you could start by saying, let me tell you a story about how this product changed my life. So you're making the content more relatable and genuine. And this is a great way to transition into this, put one thing inside another box. Next point is do something beforehand. And the idea is that you're building anticipation. Even when you're in a live presentation, the job of the person that comes first, if they are presenting well, is to introduce the next speaker in the best possible way. You could have a designated person that does this, or you could have, again, the speaker that does it for the next one. The idea is that you're building anticipation, you're keeping the audience engaged, and when you do this in your writing, whether it's something that's still coming out or something that you are about to introduce next, it is a great way to add anticipation. In a way, you're teasing what is upcoming. So tease an upcoming comprehensive guide in your current blog post, create excitement and expectation. So you could say, stay tuned for our next guide on mastering advanced marketing strategies coming next week. You're not just closing with what is happening in there and now. You're building anticipation for the next day that's coming. The next focus is convert to a benefit. So here, the idea is to focus the reader's perspective on anything that might not be good, anything that they might not consider to be a benefit, and really bringing out the beneficial side to it. So let's say we have a sales letter for a tool about time management. So here you're going to emphasize how it gives the user more time for family or hobbies and not just its technical features. You're converting the features to benefits, but you're really driving home the benefits. Even if it's something that's negative, maybe you are the person that charges the most in your industry. You're converting that into a benefit. And you say, we do this because we really work with you one-to-one. We give you the best possible service, and we guarantee that you will get results. So that is why we are charging that amount of money, because if not, we won't be able to give you that level of service. So you could say, imagine reclaiming hours every day for what you love. Our time management tool makes this dream a reality, and that is why we charge this amount of money. So you're converting something that's negative or not into a benefit that people can measure. People can see the real benefit behind what you're saying. The next focus is switch gears. So the idea is to keep content dynamic and prevent reader fatigue. Let's say that you have a emotional sales letter where you're shifting into an emotional personal story, And then going back to factual data. So you're appealing to the different logical versus emotional parts of the brain. You're not just staying in one lane, you're switching to the fast lane or the slow lane. Even if you're speaking, you're not just speaking in one monotone voice all the time, right? You're sometimes going fast, you're speaking with enthusiasm, but at other times you're going slow. You're taking your time and you're letting the audience follow along. So this can be used in many different ways. So let's say you start with an emotional story. You begin with, that was the moment everything changed for me. You tell the story and then you explain. Here's the data to prove why this can change for you too. This is what happened before, this is what happened after, this is what made a difference. So you're giving the numbers, you're giving the logical argument. But before there was the emotional story. What happened on the emotional side? Next is revise the rhythm. So the idea is to use short, impactful sentences in, for example, an email campaign about an urgent offer, creating a sense of immediacy. So you can say, act now, limited spots available, your path to success starts today. So that is kind of quite a fast rhythm. Before, you could have areas where you're going at a slower speed, where you're building up characters, where you're giving the backstory and showing how this character relates to the person reading it. So different rhythms, similar to switching gears, but this is much more in depth. You can really run with it and do your thing with it. Next one is make something, do something itself. And this is the idea of this self-service kind of aspect. So here, you're saving time, you're saving resources, and you're focusing on creativity and personalization. Let's say that you have a tool that allows people to have blog outlines created by themselves. It's something that the people can save time on. It's something that will help them do more. So the idea is to automate a part of the process. So you can say generated by AI, refined by human touch, bringing you the best of both worlds in each blog post, right? So you don't have to waste time to do the research, to create the outline, but instead you'll have 50% of the job done. So you can just start writing. Next one is change up the intensity. The idea is to create an emotional journey for the reader, making the content more memorable. So you start with the high intensity story of failure, you gradually move to a calming narrative of overcoming challenges. It can be used in multiple ways. If people are used to something that's always fast, that's fast-paced, go slow. If it's slow, go fast. Transition between the two. Have something that's in between. You don't have to stay in the same intensity. The next one is change the shape. So here you offer a fresh perspective, making standard topics more interesting. So instead of having a how-to guide, changes into a question and answer format, or even a fictional story that still delivers your key message. The idea is that you're not going with the normal way that people expect you to go. You're not just providing a factual account of what happened. You're creating a story. You're creating a Q&A. Again, creating a fictional character. So join John on his journey to mastering SEO, a tale of trials, errors, and ultimate success. You're turning SEO, which is a very logical topic, into a story, into something that people want to get behind and see what happens. Change the look. So visually engages the reader, enhancing message retention. So the idea here is that you use infographics, for example, to highlight key points. You use specific blocks in your sales letter to focus the reader on what's important. You have before and after pictures where people can see the difference. You're just changing the way things look. If my usual videos are me speaking to a camera, in this video, I'm sharing a presentation, so it's different than what people are usually accustomed to. And finally, we have add something to the interaction. So if before you are just speaking to a camera, here we're asking the reader for feedback. You're asking them for their thoughts. You're just changing something from what is usually expected. So in a blog post, end with a question that prompts comments. If you can make it something that's polarizing, that's even better. So what are your thoughts on this approach? Comment below and let's start a conversation. As you can see, these are all different ways how you can get more ideas, how you can take one thing and change it in a way to elicit more ideas from it. What you can do is also combine things together, which is always a way to get even more ideas. In this final part of the video, I want to give you some quick tips how you as a freelancer can use these ideas for even better results. So this is specifically for freelancers. Number one is experiment and iterate. What you want to do is discover what works. So don't be afraid to try different boxes for different types of content and understand your audience. If you tailor your content to your target audience, that is where you get the best results. So specific language that addresses their needs and desires. You want to be able to speak to one person in your market. Next is maintain consistency. So test and measure, track the performance of the content you generate. And when you are consistent, you're also building a brand voice. You're building brand recognition. But again, it's important to test and measure. You won't know what is working until you measure it, until you test it. This is very important. The next is storytelling methods. As you write, see how you can incorporate stories. See how you can incorporate emotional connection, or you can use interactive elements when you tell your stories. And think about A/B testing, even with your stories, right? So change the look, convert to a benefit. How does that affect the final result? Are people resonating more with version 1 or with version 2? Always test. And finally, it's important to stay current. Even if you are creating content from these boxes, it's important that you adapt to trends. There's no point in having tons of ideas if they don't make sense for your market and what they want right now. Feedback loop, so always encourage feedback and comments from your audience, as we mentioned in one of the last points in the boxes. And finally, personalization. Boxes like make something do something itself can be used to create personalization and personalized content at scale. If you have data and automation tools that can even help with this, it will make it super specific to the reader, to the user, to the person watching the video. So when you can personalize, and this will help you to create even better ideas that are targeted towards the person consuming your content. So I hope you found this video useful in terms of creating ideas as a freelancer. Ideas are very important. They're always useful, and in a way, you can't have too many ideas. And even if you do, it's a simple enough task to remove the ones that don't make sense and focus on the ones that they do. The problem is when you don't have ideas, right? So use the content in this video, generate more ideas, go check out David's course because it will really dive deeper into the concepts I spoke about in this video. And in the meantime, if you want to start your freelancing journey, check out the link in the description. I have a checklist that can help you do this, and it will get you on your way to starting your business. So check it out, link in the description. In the meantime, I'll speak to you in the next video.